Hey guys, this is Hetu and welcome back to etlqalabs. So in this video, we will look at a very important concept in software testing, that is traceability matrix. And this is not, guys, only concept. This is also something that it is in a document format also, right? But right now, I think we will try to understand how it used to be before the traceability matrix and how we do manage right now. I mean nowadays, right? Because there has been a drastic shift in the software testing, the way we test it, and the tools that we use right now when compared to, I think, probably 10 years or 15 years back, right? So it's completely changed right now. So we will try to understand what was the you what how it used to be there before the traceability matrix, and how do we manage it right now. Okay. So guys, traceability matrix is one of the very important document. What it basically does is basically ensures that each of the requirement, that is the user requirement, has the some has been tested basically, right? So there is no requirement there is no testable requirements, I would say, because there are certain requirements which cannot be tested. So that is something had to agreed upon. But then the document covers that each of the testable requirements are actually tested properly, which means each of the each of the requirements have certain test cases associated to that requirement, right? Those requirements, guys. All right. So now I have already noted down few things here, so I will just walk you through so that we don't need to waste too much time to write it here. But see, guys, we will try to understand first of all where does it fit, right? The traceability matrix and all. By definition, you understood now, but we will try to understand where does it fit and why do we need it first of all, right? So now I will give you the normal scenario, guys. Okay, forget about this definition and all. Now you just pay attention on this part. All right. So now this is the SDLC phase, that is software development lifecycle phase, guys. And this could be the waterfall model or this could be agile methodology. It doesn't matter, right? But the software development lifecycle remains same, right? So these are the phases that typically we actually perform it. We can actually further break down into other, uh, you know, uh, I mean, more detailed phases. For example, the design phase can be divided into, low level design, high level design, and low level design, and then coding, and then testing itself can be divided into multiple different type of testing. For example, integration testing, unit testing, system testing, functional testing, etc. Right? But I am not going to in that detail. It's just that we want to just understand the high level phases of the entire SDLC life cycle, right? So now coming back to that, so first phase is the SDLC life cycle, or the SDFC phase, is the requirement phase, right? So requirement gathering is the very first phase, and that's where the business analyst plays a very crucial role, and he or she basically go back to the customer and try to get the requirement, what exactly customer want to be developed or to be implemented, right? So the business analyst plays a very important role here, and try to understand what exactly customer or client need it, and then document in the business language basically, right? The business analyst never writes the technical document. It's basically in the form of business requirement. So what kind of business requirement we will try to understand later. I mean, what does it mean basically? But then you just understand the requirement gathering phase. The business analyst basically goes back to the customer and try to note down all the important requirement, are all the requirements that the customer wanted us to be implemented. Now after that, what happens? The business analyst will feed this document. He or she will prepare this requirement document, or that's also called BRD, business requirement document, right? And then that BRD will be fed down to the technical team, that is the development team, right? So development team usually will consist of testing team also, right? So the same this requirement document will come to testing team also, and also the development team. Now based on this document itself, the tester will start writing the test cases, yeah, based on this business requirement. And based on this very same document, what will happen is the development team will create a design, right? So technical design, or that they will convert this particular business requirements into technical requirement, which can be basically written in terms of in form of code, right? So and then the development team or everyone can actually keep this document for their development, right? So it will be basically low level design document, right? Now, once this particular design document is converted, then this will be used further for coding basically or implementing the requirements, right? But the testing team has already got a copy of this business requirement document. So now the coding is completed based on this particular BRD, and testing team has written the test cases based on the BRD. Now, after coding is completed, the code will be actually deployed into testing environment, and testing team will be asked to perform the testing. All right. I hope you are able to understand until this, right? Now, what will happen is the testing team will start testing it, and then there could be scenarios where, so for example, guys, okay, so these are the test cases, right? So, for example, I have requirement I have got the three, let's say these are the business requirement. These are the business requirement one, two, three. Now the testing team, the development team has developed it, and as a testing team has written 5 test cases to cover this particular requirement. Requirement number 2, they have covered 3 test cases, and for requirement number 3, there is no test cases. All right. Why there is no test cases? Because, uh, for example, the testing team who was actually supposed to write this particular test cases, they forget it. They did not write the test cases at all. Now what will happen? Let's say all these requirements will be ready for the testing, and the code will be deployed into test environment or the QA environment. Now the testing team will start testing it, but when they refer the test cases for testing this particular requirement, they find that there are only 8 test cases. They assume that these are covering all the requirements, all the 3 requirements, right? But in fact, the reality here is the requirement number 3 do not have any test cases, associated test cases, because it this particular requirement has been missed out by the tester, and they have not written any test cases to cover it. All right. Now what will happen? When the tester will execute it and they find that everything is working fine, maybe there might be some defect and all, and then after that they fix it, and finally the testing team says that everything is completed. Now we can promote this code to UAT because we are able to complete all the planned test cases that we have written. But the fact is, we have actually missed one of the requirement, that is requirement number 3. And for example, this particular requirement is very, very important, or anything, or it can be, it's important document. I mean, it can be not very, very important, but it's important, right? Because this is the customer requirement, right? And we have missed out. Unfortunately, this particular requirement, when the coding was being done, and developer also made certain mistakes here, right, in this particular thing, and testing team also missed out this particular requirement. Now what will happen? This same bug will go to UAT environment, and in UAT environment, customer or customer representative will test it, and they will find this bug. And you imagine this, right? The entire requirement, and this is a very, very obvious, testing that everyone should know. For example, there is a logout functionality, right? And uh, that logout functionality has been implemented, but it's not working fine. All right. I mean, when you actually click on the logout, it doesn't do anything. It basically doesn't log you out from the application itself, right? So that particular thing is not working properly. That particular requirement is not working properly. Now, this is very noticeable, right? Because this is one of the process that like login, then you perform something on home page or that page, and then after that at the end you will log out, right? But log out is not working. This is very noticeable, right? This is not something that the customer is going out of the way to test it, right? It's a very obvious feature that is supposed to work, but this is not working. Now you imagine the situation, right? Because customer will say that then what you guys have tested, right? What you guys have implemented first of all, because you have made the mistake, and then on top of that your testing team also missed it out, right? correct? But in fact, uh, so when in fact what has happened is we have not, as part of our testing team has missed out this, and we have not written the test cases now. Now, this is the situation. That is the reason there is a process for the testing, software testing. There is a proper formal process that we should follow in terms of so that we can avoid this kind of issues, right? If you follow the process, you will 100% able to avoid this kind of problem. Now, this is the place where traceability matrix comes into play, right? What it says basically, it's a document. Okay, I'm talking about, the uh, not this scenario. We do not maintain right now any document, but I'm saying a few years back, let's say 10 years back, when we were actually still following the waterfall model, what we used to do. And I'll tell you now how do we manage this traceability, but let's go back to the 10 years before, at 15 years before, how we used to manage the traceability matrix. So traceability matrix used to be one of the one of the document, right? Excel document, something like this. I have written it. So for example, there is one requirement one. This says that login page design for the Facebook, right? So to test this particular Facebook login, here is that, right? There are you have to test this. You have to check this button whether it is actually working for right input. If you are giving the wrong input, then this should fail. Also, forget password should be able to reset your password, and then create account should be able to create a uh, brand new account, right? So all this functionality should be working, right? Permutation, combination, and everything should be working properly. So for this, let's say you have written some 6 test cases, right? I mean, it just taking example because there can be multiple test cases, 10, 20, 30 also, right? But then I'm just taking, let's say I have 6 test cases that I have written. Now for home page, also let's say I have written test case number 1, let's say test case number 7. Okay, because here on test case number 7, okay, maybe I can write some more guys here. Okay, okay, let me put it here. Okay, now just to give you an example, right? I mean, let's say here 8, 9, and 10, right? And guys, here nothing. Okay, so I'll show you here how does it work. Now let's say we have this, and now for this, mm, 1 second, guys. Not this. All right. Oh, merge. Okay. I'll take it up. All right. So, okay, leave it. I don't want to do all this work here, but okay. Hope you understand it, right? So, okay, let me do this also. I think it makes sense. All right. This also can. All right. All right, guys. Okay. Hope you can know. In here, no test cases, guys. Okay. There are no test cases here. So what will happen is now here we do not have any test cases, but for these two requirements we have already written the test cases, right? That's what the example I was giving here, right? So implementation. Okay. So we have written test cases for home page, login page. We have covered the home page. We have not covered the logout page because we missed out here, right? There is no test cases written for this. Okay. All right. So what will happen now? Now, we have missed out completely, right? But let's say this is my traceability document, traceability matrix, right? Now, when what we used to do before is we used to write literally each of the requirement in this particular Excel sheet, and then we used to write the test cases associated with that, right? So test cases here, which all the test cases are there, and which are the requirements here, right? They are the requirements. Okay. So we used to basically write the test cases and then requirement here. Okay. And so what will happen is in this way we were able to track whether each of the requirements are having some test cases or not, right? And then these test cases we used to actually upload into it can be in Excel sheet, or we used to use some quality center and all those kind of uh, uh, you know uh, software testing, what do you say, the tool, right? Testing tool, or test where we used to write the test cases, where we used to upload the what do you say, upload the requirement, etc. bug, right? So this is the document that we used to actually maintain last previously, right? So in this case, let's say when I am noting down, and then obviously I'll go and I will check whether each of the requirements are having test cases or not. In that case, I will be able to find out that this particular requirement doesn't have any requirement, and this traceability matrix will be reviewed by everybody, including the stakeholders, and everybody will be reviewing it, right? So that this is one of the document that the testing team, or deliverables that the testing team will produce it as part of the testing, right? So there is no chances that you will miss out, right? So this kind of situation that you will be able to avoid it. So this is the use of the traceability matrix. Now, how does it, how it is maintained now, right now? So we have all these tools, basically the test management tools, right? For example, HPALM, or we have Jira, ALM Jira, right? So these tools, um, ALM is nothing but application lifecycle management, guys. So these tools are basically helping us to perform the testing, and they control the entire software testing phases, right? So in that we have for example, I have HPALM, right? I think some of you whoever have worked, I think already will be aware, right? So there are tabs, something called requirement tab, and then you have the test planning, then test execution, okay, and then what else, defect. They are the tabs, guys, something like that. I don't know exactly what exact name, but something to track it, right? So there are the different tabs, and that's where actually when the tester will be writing the test cases, they will first of all write the requirement. How many requirements are there? They will upload all those requirements basically, right, from the customer, and then after that they will write the test cases in the test plan, and then after writing the test cases, they will link it to the particular requirement, right? So for example, I have written test case number one. I will go back. I mean, this test case number one will be having a field to link this particular requirement, right? So this will be linked to this, right? Now, what you do when you actually try to go to coverage, and then when you hit this particular click this particular requirement, it will show you how many test cases are there associated with that, right? You can also export certain reports, etc., just to verify that each of the requirements are having some test cases covered or not, guys. Okay. So, and also there is one more benefit, guys, not only for this, for the requirement document, for the traceability matrix, right? So there is only one. So this traceability matrix in using this software test management tools, basically it is basically inbuilt feature, and that is how we link it, right? The requirement is linked to test cases, and test cases are linked to defect, guys. Okay. So let's say defect one, one, two, three. Okay. So there are, let's say, three defects are there for test case number one. So when we are actually testing test case number one, then we find that there are three defects for this. Now this particular defect is obviously will be linked to the test case, and also the test case is already linked to your requirement. Now if somebody is asking, uh, you know, um, for example, the management will be asking you, right? Can you tell me which requirements is failing, or what is the problem? And also, you can actually, if you are not having this traceability, you will never be able to tell that which particular requirement is impacted because of this defect, right? Now you can easily say that requirement number one, which is login page designed for the Facebook, is having the impact because of this particular defect, right? You can easily tell because of the traceability. You already have traceability, right? So these defects are traced back to this particular test case, and this test case is tracing this particular requirement. Now this is the benefit, guys. So this is also one of the benefit that you can actually achieve it using the traceability matrix, right? So I think I hope that you are able to understand what I was explaining here as part of your traceability matrix. But I think this is one of the very important question. I think the interviewer will would like to understand from you. How do you understand, right? What is your level of understanding when it comes to software testing, right, as a whole? Because this is something, how do we manage the entire testing, right? The testing is really a skill, guys. It is not something that, uh, some people think that, testing is just an easy job, but it's not. Okay. So testing is something very, very responsible job. And if there is any problem happens, you are the gatekeeper, guys. Okay. If you are the quality gatekeeper, right? Without your approval, none of the code can go outside, QA environment. It cannot go to any further environment down, right? So until you certify it, you are happy and you say that, okay, I'm happy with this. This this means nothing can be released into production, right? So that's the reason I'm saying testing team have even higher responsibility than the development team, because if tomorrow something is broken, they will catch you only because you have tested it. And what you have tested, they will ask you what are the test cases that you have done. So you should always have the test cases reviewed by your stakeholders, get the proper review. And also when you perform the testing, it is also important that you also take the screenshot of each of the test cases that you are doing it, right? So that you can keep it as evidence of your testing. So tomorrow if something is broken, because see, it is not possible that it is always broken because of your mistake, right? There are some environmental issues also, and because of that the build is broken in the higher environment, for example UAT, right? There is some technical glitch, or there is some other problem, let's say some hardware problem, etc. Because of that there is a problem, right? But when you tested in your environment, in QA environment, it was working all fine. But now you have to show them that, okay, when I was testing this particular requirement in my environment, it was all working, right? For that, what is the proof? You have to show that particular screenshot or whatever documentation you have done as part of your test execution, right, guys? So that is the reason. It's a very, very responsible job. And for example, here I told you about traceability, right? So if you miss out, then it's a big deal, right? So that's the reason, yeah. So it's very important. Hopefully, you are able to understand about traceability matrix, and hope I was able to, help you understand this, yeah. And that's all for this video, guys. And I'll see you soon with the next video. Until then, happy learning. God bless you. Bye. And guys, one more thing. I am not getting any, you guys are not liking my videos, I think. Are you really enjoying the video that I'm doing? If you're liking it, I will I will ask you to support me, like and subscribe, right? Because that is also the motivation that I get, right? So how I get energy to do the videos, guys? How much like you are doing, how much comments you are putting in, or any questions you are asking me, I will feel that I am connected with you. Otherwise, it's like I am doing a video, I am uploading it, and I'm not getting any response, right? You think about me, right? So I am putting these efforts so that I just want to make sure that it's going to you and you are able to understand it, right? So please like and like all my videos, and it just matter of appreciation, right? So if you appreciate it, then that's also boost up my energy to do more and more videos, guys, right? So please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends, whoever is needing this knowledge, right? And yeah, I'll see you soon with the next video, guys. Until then, happy learning. God bless you, and bye.